Thank you very much, and I'm pleased to be here. Some of my questions have already been asked, but I did share with our witness a copy of an editorial that appeared in the San Jose Mercury News a couple of weeks ago relating to the tsunami alerts and the proposed $4.6 million reduction that affects the early warning system. I'd like to note that San Jose, which is within my congressional district, is not on the coast, and we will not be impacted by a tsunami in any way. Actually, we've even done the modeling. Even on the bay, there's no way that a tsunami could impact us according to the computer modeling. So this is not from a parochial point of view. But I do have a concern. I read the analysis that a degradation of this system, which I think inevitably will result. I mean, if we are not able to repair these buoys, some will go dark and we will not be able to reach them without the funding, that this could have a public safety impact. And obviously, you have constraints that were placed upon you. We recognize that. But I'm concerned as we think about the tsunami, the devastating tsunami that hit Japan, certainly the possibility of a devastating impact somewhere along the West Coast, whether it's Washington or LA, needs to be considered. And I'm wondering if this is really something that we want to stick with in terms of reduction. Could you address this subject at all?
Certainly, and thanks for the question, Congresswoman. Tsunamis are very, very serious, obviously, and we take our responsibility to warn our citizens very, very seriously. We saw with both the Chile and then the Japanese tsunami how devastating they can be. Our tsunami warning system was active in both of those instances and, in fact, prevented considerable damage that might otherwise have occurred. For example, both places along the West Coast, Crescent City, for example, but also in the Hawaiian Islands and other Pacific places, territories.
Santa Cruz?
And Santa Cruz, absolutely. Santa Cruz was seriously affected. Our warning program before this year had benefit of both appropriated funds as well as funds from the 2005 Deficit Reduction Act. This year, that act expires. We will no longer have funds from the WARN Act to help supplement our tsunami programs, which is why you see a reduction in this year's program compared to last year. Nonetheless, we will be able to continue to have two very active tsunami warning centers in Alaska and in Hawaii. The DART buoy systems that give us very important information as the tsunami is moving across the Pacific will remain in place. The decreased funds mean that we will be unable to go out and fix those DART buoys when they become disabled as frequently as we would like to, or as frequently as we have to date. So the system will still be up there. We just are not able to maintain it at the pace that would be necessary.
May I ask you a question? Because oftentimes we think about the West Coast of the United States as being the recipient of the tsunami from an earthquake in Asia, but certainly there is the potential of a very large earthquake, certainly along the state of Washington, given historic events. And so actually the Hawaiian Islands could be at risk from, as well as the coasts along the west. Have we thought about the impact of letting these buoys go dark from that kind of an event?
Absolutely. The DART buoy system was designed to function regardless of where in the Pacific Rim the earthquake was happening. And you're right to focus on Washington, but Oregon as well, as places where there, in fact, may be an event. The DART buoys do not enable those warnings to happen. When there is a seismic event, that information is received immediately by our tsunami warning centers, and they send out a model.
If I may, I think I misspoke. I'm talking about the buoys that aren't working and can't be repaired in a timely fashion.
The warnings don't depend on those buoys.
Okay.
The warnings happen first, and we are still able to do those. And then the buoy picks up the tsunami as it's moving across the ocean, and that enables us to fine-tune the warnings. So if there is a buoy that is out, we will still have a general warning. It won't be as specific as might be useful, but it's not as if we won't have any warning system at all. I agree it would be nice to have all those buoys up and running. We just don't have the money.
I would ask unanimous consent to put the editorial in the record, and just note that I understand you're constrained, but it seems to me not maybe the best place to economize. And if you overwarn, then people don't take it as seriously. And we've seen that in California, where people show up to look. And, you know, if it were a big event, that would not be a smart thing. If it's targeted, people take it more seriously. I know my time is up.
Without objection.
Thank you very much.
We'll include that in the record.